Hi, my name is Mario. I'm a member of the libgdx team. I'm going to show you how you can set up a basic libgdx project which works on the desktop and on Android. The first thing you have to do is set up the JDK, Eclipse and the Android SDK. Please crawl the web for any information on how to do that. Next we have to download libgdx itself. You can either download the latest release, which is considered stable, or the nightlies. Well, the nightlies are rebuilt each day on the continuous integration server, which is provided to us by the good guys over at Lead Labs. So let's be dangerous and awesome and use the nightlies. So after you downloaded them, just extract them. And that's that. The next thing we are going to do is create a Java project in Eclipse. We call it Super Awesome. The Java project is going to run on the desktop, and it will also contain the main application code for our little example. So the first thing we have to do is create a new folder. I usually call it libs. This is where we are going to save some chars to for the desktop project. So let's go back to the nightlies. For the desktop project we need the GDX jar, the GDX backend joggle jar, the GDX backend joggle natives jar, and the GDX natives jar. So let's just copy them over into the libs folder of the Java project. Next up, we have to hook up the Java project with the jars. So I open the properties of the project, go to the Java build path, in the libraries tab, and add the jars we just copied over to the libs folder. Okay. That was easy. So now we can actually already write an application with libgdx that will run on the desktop. Let's do that. We create a new package, call it com.awesome, and here's the thing. An application written with libgdx is consists of one actual part which houses all the logic and code for the application itself. And then for each operating system, or rather for each platform, like the desktop or Android, we need a starter class which will use this main application class to execute the actual game or application or whatever you have. So let's start with the actual code of our application. We create a new class. I call it Super Awesome Example. And this has to implement the application listener interface. With a press of Control and 1, you can add the methods from that interface. I'll just clean up some formatting here because my formatter is set to nasty and fugly. We are going to talk about this in a minute. Here's where we're going to implement the actual code of our application. So that's the first part. The second part is that we need a starter class for each platform. On the desktop, we just create another class in the Java project we created. Let's call it desktop starter. And there we have the usual Java main entry point, which is a public static void main method. And within this method we just instantiate a new joggle application. If you use the LWJGL backend, you'd actually instantiate a LWJGL application instead of a joggle application. But I'd like to piss some people off, so we are going to use joggle. So this constructor has a couple of arguments. The first argument is the application listener, which is actually our program. So in this case it's the Super Awesome Example. The next argument is the title string of the desktop application, so let's just call this title because we're creative. The next two arguments are the width and height of the area where we are going to render to within the window of the desktop application. So let's use 480 by 320 pixels. The last argument can be safely ignored. It just would allow you to use OpenGL 2.0. You don't want that unless you know what shaders are, so we are going to specify false here. Again, we have to import some stuff, in this case the joggle application. Just press Ctrl, Shift and O, and Eclipse does its magic. And that's it. That's your actual libgdx application. Now, of course, we only have a starter for the desktop, so it will only run on the desktop. Let's try this out. Right click on the source file, select run as, and fuck you Eclipse, run as Java application. And immediately, at least if you have a decent PC, a new window will pop out up, showing you the awesome application. So that's that. Now we are going to create another project which allows you to run the same application on Android. Just create a new project, in this case an Android project. We call it Super Awesome Android. We also have to specify a build target here. I'm usually going with the latest and greatest. An application name, a package name, the name of the default activity which is going to be started if your application is run on Android. We call it Super Awesome Activity. And the minimum SDK version. So since we want our application to run on Android 1.5, we are specifying 3 here, which is the SDK level of Android 1.5. So we actually have a default activity already, which was created by the ADT plugin for Eclipse, and a couple of other folders and files related to an Android project. As with the main project, we have to add a couple of jars and other files to the Android project. So we start off by creating a folder in the Android project, which is called libs, and it must be called libs, not lib or library or utility or something. It must be called libs. And then we have to copy over the following files. We need the GDX jar, the GDX backend Android jar, and the 2 ARM EABI folders. Those are going into the libs folder of the Android project, so that's how this is looking now. And we also have to hook up the jars with the project itself, so we go to the project properties and add the 2 jar files contained in the libs folder to the Android project. We also want to use the classes we define in the main project, so we also have to hook up the main project with the Android project. So in the same dialog, under Java Build Path, Projects tab, just add the Super Awesome project. And that's it. Now we have to modify the default activity, which is pretty simple. Instead of activity, we extend Android application, which is a libgdx class. Control 1 to import the application class. And we have to get rid of the setContentView statement and replace it with a call to the initialize method provided by the Android application class. I probably did something stupid, yes. So the first argument is again an application listener. Since we reference the main project, we can use the super awesome example application listener we just wrote. So we use the super awesome example class here, an instance of it. And the second argument is again whether we want to use OpenGL 2.0 or not. We don't, because we are cool and old school. Right, so now we only have to wait for ADT and DEX and all the other nice tools of the Android SDK to actually compile our fucking project, which takes ages on my netbook. Done. Now I'm going to save the file and it's going to build again. Thank you. And that's basically it. That's all you have to do. Now, if you change anything in your actual application listener, you can just start your Android project and it will be reflected. So it will run the same on the desktop and on Android. Let's do this by just clearing the screen, clearing it with the color red. For this we use the GDX singleton, access the GL common interface, which just groups all methods of OpenGLES together into one class, at least those which are the same in OpenGLES 1.x and OpenGLES 2.0. And we use the GL clear command to clear the screen. And we also want to set the GL clear color, which we set to red. So let's start it on the desktop. La 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 la. So here we go. And if you start the Android project, just right click it, select run as an Android application, then either the emulator will pop up, which we are not going to do because my netbook sucks, or if you have a device connected, it will be run on the device. So one more thing, which is crucial, open your Android manifest.xml. View the actual source code, and you have an uses SDK tag here, or element here. Up until now we only specify the minimum SDK version. We also have to specify, we also have to specify the target SDK version, which is 9 in our case, so Android 2.3. If you don't specify the target SDK version, then your OpenGL application, and all libgdx applications are OpenGL applications, will be run in compatibility mode. This means you're not going to have the full screen resolutions at your hand. So don't forget to add this. Okay, so from here on you could just browse our mighty awesome test collection and play around with these tests. Or you could check out our demo projects, which are games actually. We have a 3D Space Invaders clone and a 2D Box 2D based pinball game provided to us by Brian Nenninger. Thanks a bunch. We also have a Hello World application, and Return to Markfeld is basically a work in progress, so don't use those two if you're interested in the big things. Okay. Any issues you have, please report them on the issue tracker. Please provide reproducible test cases. Just write an application listener, otherwise it will be tedious for us to reproduce your problem. And for everything else, use the forums, which are also prominently linked on the libgdx project page. Okay, that's it.